Hey, welcome back to my channel, and today we are going to do a simple lesson on a basic concept of Python for beginners. That is, we are going to know the difference or learn the difference between parameters and arguments. We use this a lot of times in Python projects, so I guess I really thought that I should explain the difference and we should learn, right? So we've learned in the last tutorial about using of def keyword, the define keyword, in adding, subtraction, multiplying and all that, dividing and all that in different projects and different problems. So here, taking one of the examples, we will learn the difference between parameter and argument and how it is used in connection with that. So here we have, using the def keyword, define add numbers, and then within the parenthesis you have two parameters. Now this num1 comma num2, these are the parameters. This works as a parameter. Why? Because a parameter is a variable named in the function, and this actually in the definition function. So it actually, what is it doing in this place? It is how does it function? It actually functions, or rather acts as a placeholder for the data. So that means later on this will be replaced by the actual data that the function is going to use when it is called. So like here we define the sum as num1 and num2. So we are creating a variable called sum, and then these variables num1 and num2 that we created, we are going to add it, and then we are going to allocate it and store it in the variable sum, and then we'll return sum as we've done earlier. Then after that we will be calling the function by saying add numbers, that's the name of the function, and then within the parenthesis of the function name we are going to write the actual values of the data that are going to replace the parameters 70 and 67. So what is 70 and 67? These are the values that is passed to the function when it is called, right? So these are the arguments. So this is the difference that you see. So this is the actual data that is passed when the function is called, like here. So that is the argument. And num1 and num2, which were the variables that we used as the placement holder for the data, that were the parameters. So what is actually the parameters doing? The parameters are actually they are acting as placeholders, and they will actually accept the input of data during the calling of the function. That is the idea. So this works like a signature of the function, right? This is like a template holder or a signature. So later on you can add your values to it. Whereas the arguments are going to be actually specific values which are provided. We are actually exact values like 70, 45, whatever the real time exact values that will be calling, and when we are providing it, when we are replacing it, when we are providing it to the data and the variables num1, num2, like for example in this case to the parameter, when the function is called, or when the function is called meaning when the function is executed. Remember that. So as you can see here, like I'm giving different examples as I'm talking, like define multiply a, b, where a and b are the parameters, or x, y, where x and y are the parameters. So you can see actually what is happening is the parameters actually you can see is placed inside the parenthesis, right? And during which stage? During the define stage, or the define meaning, or your definition of the function. You're giving the definition of the function, or rather the declaration, because when you're defining a function and you're declaring, that means you are actually declaring a function with the variables inside it or the parentheses inside, and then giving the multiplication formula, like for example here sum equal to x plus y, or multiply is x multiplied by y. So that stage you're declaring it, right? So during the declaration, parameters form part of the function here, whereas the arguments, as you can see, when I say for example here multiply 70, 7,000, what's happening? I'm calling the function. So because multiply is the name of the function, inside the parenthesis I'm writing the actual data, the values in place of the parameters. So 70 and 7000 are the actual values, and this will be the arguments, and this, when am I calling it and when am I using it? This is used during the function call time, not during the declaration. So that's the main difference that you need to know, that parameters are called during declaration time, and arguments, parameters are used during declaration time, and arguments are used during the calling time and the function calling time. So that implementation time, execution time, whatever you call it. So that's the reason arguments do not have any default values like here, right? They are actually the actual values, the real-time actual values that you pass. Whereas the parameters, for example, like you can see here, that is the default value. Like xy is the default value here. You need to replace it with the actual data, real-time value or data, in order to call that as refer to that as a argument. So you have to remember that. So these are the things we learned, and as you can see that the parameters, like for example here, define, multiply, xy, right? They are not changing by itself. You need to change them by adding some data or the actual values there. So by itself, it is working like a template and a variable. It cannot change by itself. As long as you don't change the value, it will remain as x and y. But arguments, they are mutable, right? Most of the time mutable, because it is like the actual values that are passed. Yeah. And then in terms of another important thing that you need to see, like you hear, is the parameters are also like, for example, the arguments, for example, are very flexible, right? So you can like pass 77,000, you can say 1 million, 2 million, like any kind of actual real-time values you can pass. So whereas the parameters is actually like works like a template, as I mentioned above. Yeah. So what else? So these are the main things that you need to know, and then let's try and see more examples as we see here. So I'll be making more such basic concepts along the way, along with projects also for beginners. It's going to be a whole new, whole continuation of the project Python, project-based learning and course-based learning. It will be both, mix of both. And even for the courses also, like you see, I'll be portraying it with lots of examples, and whatever projects I make will also be based on the concepts explained. So if you want to have a smooth Python journey, remember to smash the subscribe button and the bell notification, so that you are always informed as soon as I post a new video. And also remember to comment in the comment section below if you want any project that you have in mind, any Python mini project that you have in mind that you want me to do as a tutorial, or you want me to explain any concept. Of course, I'll be making more concept tutorials, but you have anything specific in mind, do let me know in the comment section below. Okay. Okay, so I'm just for your information, as usual, I'm using the Replit code editor. Okay, now I'm trying to give some other examples here, like define my function. Okay, now in this case, my function, I'm defining a function called my function with the parameters a, b, print a plus b, or print a multiplied by b, or it could be print a divided by b. It could be anything. Yeah. So you need to keep doing lots and lots of examples in order to understand the difference between arguments and parameters. I've shown as many as possible within the scope of this tutorial. And if you still cannot understand, do let me know in the comments below. So here what you're doing, after doing print a plus b, you are actually calling the function, my function, and then here, instead of the numbers, you can also use a string. So I'm just showing you one example here. So you can say hello world, or you can say hello name, or you can say like in this case, I'm going to write the name of my channel, anything like a stringed value you can say. So since I've used two parameters above, which are the two variables in my case, so remember when I'm calling the function, I should be also using two strings, two values, because one which stands for A and the other data which is replaced in place of the template B or the variable B, something like that. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is, I'm just trying to show you the different ways the parameters can be added, and also trying to show you the difference. So here, if I say my function edtech comma by meera, let's see what happens when it's printed. Remember, this is all about the order. So A, B, so edtech by meera. Why? Because A, edtech by, and the other edtech, and then by meera. B stands for this. So the order is quite clearly important here. Yeah, so edtech in place of A, by meera in place of B. When I'm adding A plus B, the strings, then it will happen to be edtech by meera. So what type of parameter is this? This is positional parameter, positional arguments, I'm sorry. Why? Because the parameter is remaining the same, positional arguments. Why? Because here I'm trying to match whatever arguments I'm adding by matching the order of the parameters above. So here I want my edtech argument in place of A. I want my by meera string argument A value in place of B. So the order of the parameters A and B, remember, has to be the same when you're adding the arguments. Then only you will get the expected output as required. Otherwise, the order may be reversed in the output, as we will see in the example that I'm going to provide below. If I reverse the order, you will see. If I do not match the order of the argument, it's going to be different. That I'll show you below how it's going to happen. So this is the importance of positional argument. It's called a positional. That is, it depends on the position of the arguments added will have to match the position. The position of the argument added has to match the position of the parameters that are present inside the function. Sorry, I hope you understand. Now we see another scenario. Now when I'm calling my function, they reverse the order of the arguments. Then it comes by meera edtech. You see, because it did not match the position, so it will come to be reverse. So it is very important. If it doesn't match the order A, B, the answer will show BA, reversed order. So in order to make it come as in the original version that I want, what should I do? I should make the position same. I should match the position. So I've written here by meera edtech. So if I should change the position of the parameter also. How? By reversing it, BA. So this is for you to just understand what is a positional argument and how it is adjusted in case you need to fine tune it. Yeah. So usually you add the arguments matching the same way. Now when you're writing A plus B or A multiplied B or B plus A, B multiplied by A doesn't make a difference. So that's why we just changed the order of the way the position, the positional order rather of the arguments and the parameters. That's all that matters. In the performance of the multiplication or addition, subtraction, it hardly makes a difference unless it's a subtraction, of course, that you know already mathematically. The plus minus makes a difference. Yeah, and then we will also see another example. So this was about positional parameter. We will see one more type of argument that is added, and now there are actually 4 or 5 types of arguments, but I'm not, that is for more intermediate level and advanced level of Python learners. So since we are in the beginner's stage, I'll be just explaining the two essential ones only which are essential for the beginner level. So I'll be just talking about these two types. One is a positional, another one is the keyword type of argument. I will just show you here. Actually, I've shown you in a previous example, but I didn't mention it was keyword argument. So here I'll show you. For example, when you're adding the parameter, you just need to write, if you remember, we had done calculation of area. So like for example here, what I do is, in the beginning itself, when I'm writing the parameter, I will mention the value of the parameter, the argument value of the parameter within the parameter itself, in the parenthesis. Like for example, A is a parameter, A variable is my parameter, so I write the value of A equals edtech, value of B equals by meera. So I'm replacing it with the, I'm actually writing the value of the data to be replaced in the beginning itself. Yeah. So these are the arguments, but I am writing it right here itself. So then this becomes a keyword argument because you're writing it at this stage. Okay, there's some mistake I made in the comma. Okay, let me do the correction. Oh, I forgot to write the define. No, define is already done. Let me see. Okay, it's already here. So I can work with the same. I don't need to type again. I'm just using the same function to show the difference. There was a duplication earlier, that's why. Okay. So let's see. You have to be careful when you're working in the same file folder. Sometimes there's duplication. So what I do is I comment out my previous ones to use the same file folder. I just comment out my previous code and then do the next one. Otherwise, the result will be duplicated. Okay, so define my function A equal to, this I already explained, write the value in the beginning inside the ref and then print A plus B. So what's happening here? This works as this is called a keyword argument because you already write the value right in the beginning in the define stage. As you're writing the argument in the inside the declarative stage, inside the parenthesis, as values respectively. Sorry, for the variables A and B or for the parameters A and B. And then you run the function. My function, just call. You just need to call my function, bus. That's it. There you go. You get the same value. But usually we don't do it this way. Usually in the beginning we always do the other way that I taught you by using positional parameters. I mean positional arguments. Sorry, I have a bad throat. So this was just to show you a quick brief about the differences. Later on, as we go in advanced stages or intermediate stages, we will go into more in-depth description. But at this stage, this is just a basic rundown for you to know. But the main idea of this tutorial lesson was to show you the difference between parameters and arguments. When the parameter is added and when the argument is added. What is a parameter? What is argument? What is the importance of parameter? That is for the declaring the function. Argument is used for calling the function. And parameter is more template because it is actually the variables with the default values. Argument is actually the actual real-time values that are added while implementing or while calling or executing the functions. So these things I wanted you to know very strongly. It's very important for you to know because sometimes people use wrong terms. Instead of arguments, they will say parameters. Instead of parameters, they'll say arguments. So that's why I needed you to get this concept very clear in Python. It's very important because we use it lot of times. It is used many times. So it is really important. So that's the reason I wanted you to know this term. So if you've not smashed that subscribe button already, make sure that you smash the subscribe button and also the notification button, so that as soon as I do my tutorial, post and publish my tutorials, you get hold of it. And as I mentioned earlier, do comment in the section if you have any more specific tutorial on a subject, on a particular project or concept that you find it difficult for me to make a tutorial on it. You let me know. And also do not forget to read my documentations on various concepts of Python and coding in general for code newbies in my Substack newsletter and also my blogger website. In my blog website, I will be including the link to both of it in the description below. So for those who are already subscribed, stay subscribed. Thanks for staying subscribed, and all the best in your Python journey. I will try my best to make as many lessons as possible for you guys, for code newbies, to understand difficult concepts and also to understand, using those concepts, how to do projects, to grow from a beginner to the intermediate stage. So I want you guys to keep practicing. Now, whatever I've learned, I want you guys to keep practicing and practicing and practicing. In the next week, I will come up with even more precise definition lessons, and after that, subsequent to that, I will be doing more projects. So if you still have anything in mind, do point it out and let me know. So here I'm just running the code different ways with different values of the string, and while I'm talking to you guys. So I want you guys to do the same thing and check it out. Okay, so that's about it. So I hope you understood. This is all about parameters and arguments. Yeah. So stay subscribed. See you in the next with more interesting Python tutorials and Python projects, project-based learning, concept-based learning. See you in the next.